Hello and welcome to College Betas. Today we'll be looking at my setup and how I organize my supplies. I do want to apologize for the sound. This is my first time not doing a full voiceover, so the sound may be a little funky since I have two air pumps running. First, we are going to start out looking at my overall setup and look inside my 4 boxes of supplies. I'll not be going into too much depth on any of them because I will be going into what is in them thoroughly in the future. So this is my little corner of my fish universe. I have 3 of my 4 tanks over here. I got this shelf from Target. I don't remember how much it costs, but it's the bigger size, the XL version. Here we have Squirt's tank. We have Hank's tank. Down here we have the Terrarium project, which I've been trying to raise the humidity levels and keep them high so I can grow aquarium plants outside of the water. And then down here is Apollo's tank. Back here I keep the things that I usually use, such as my fertilizers, the cups, the food that I usually feed, and I have my prime here as well. Then down here on the bottom shelf I have lots of different storage bins, including my quarantine tanks and the 2 cups that I use for transferring my betas to and from home. I also have my aquarium box is still out, and I have my water change bucket over there. In this box, which is on the bottom left hand side, I have my tropical substrate mix. I used it in my terrarium project, and I use it when planting plants into larger pots. In here I have a cup that I use for scooping up the dirt so I don't have to touch it too much. I have a sponge and a dish that I had filled with water to help keep the terrarium moist. And I also have cocoa fiber in bricks so that I can use it in the future. This is my decorations box. It sits on the top left hand side on top of the box of dirt. And in here we have a variety of things. We have some flourish tabs for my plants. We have some broken pots that I plan on using sometime in the future. I've used them before. I don't know if I'll use them again, but I keep them anyway because I hoard things. This is some shrimp tunnels that I got from my aquarium box, but I don't have shrimp, so I haven't used it up to this point. I also have some rocks. I have another thing of rocks. I have my extra gravel. I have sand. I have some more gravel here. I have silk plants. Down here I have a rock. In here I have lights from the hood that I used to use. I have some fake wood. I have silicone. I have 2 pieces of real wood. I have some pots that are not broken yet. Down here I have a pleco cave, which I don't have a pleco, so I haven't been using it. And then I also have some more silk plants, plastic plants, and I have a light down here that I do not use. This is my box of equipment. In here I have some filter cartridges that I got really cheap at Goodwill. And I don't use the filters that these cartridges are for, but I do have the filters, so if I need to use them in a quarantine tank, then I have extra filter cartridges for the future. I have a lot of airline tubing. I use airline tubing a lot because I have air running through all of my tanks in various forms, so I always make sure I have plenty on hand. I have this AccuDrip, which I have not used, but I got it from my aquarium box, and I'll probably use it in the future with other fish. I just haven't gotten any fish since then, so I haven't used it. Here I have a Tetra Care kit. It just has some flakes and conditioner. I got this with one of my tanks. I don't use any of these products, so I just have it put away for the future. I have some sponge from one of my filters. I have a bag of ammonia remover that I use in these glass cups, which has a filter bag in it right now, but I use these glass cups as homemade sponge filters, and I have another one in here. Down here I have some bacteria, Tim's one and only. I haven't used any of it yet because I haven't had to cycle a tank, but I've used the Tetra product, Safe Start Plus, and it's worked great for me. It cycled my tank in about a week with water changes. I also have the lids from my Beta cups. Most of my cups have broken, but I've kept the lids anyway because you never know when they're going to be useful. Here I have some more airline tubing, but these have check valves on them. I brought these back from break thinking I didn't have check valves, but I did have check valves here already, so these I just have sitting around. This is a giant bag of carbon pellets that I got in my aquarium box. I don't usually use carbon, so I'm going to be actually using this in a terrarium build, probably next year. Here I have another Beta lid. Down here I have a filter. I have filter media. I have a couple air stones. I have this biomagnet clarifier that I use when I'm messing around with the sand. I've only used one of these packs, but I actually have two. I had two. I only have one now. I have this great sponge that I got from Aquarium Co-op. I totally recommend it. I bought two and I have one on my Aqua Clear, and it works great. It works a lot better than the one that I already had, which was this one. This one's much smaller and a lot more coarse, so it doesn't pick up quite as much. I have another filter. This one doesn't really work, so it's really just an extra backup. And underneath it I have filter cartridges, which I was going to make a sponge filter out of, but I ended up just buying them instead. And then I have a 10-gallon filter here that I used to use on my 10-gallon, and then I used on the 5-gallon, but I got the Aqua Clear 20 instead. And then that's everything in this box. In this last box are some of the most important things in the fish keeping hobby, which are food and medications. I do have a video planned for both food and medication, so once those are up, I will put links on the screen. So those are my 4 boxes of supplies. If there are any products you would like me to go into depth about, please let me know. As I said, I do have videos planned for the majority of the supplies, if not all of them. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and join us next week to learn about picking out a tank for your Beta.